All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the middle of March, getting to be towards the end of March. And as I said, it does seem a little weird as I'm sitting here to have sunlight still streaming through the window, but it's nice because it means that spring is on the way, and so on and so on. So hopefully everybody had. It seems weird to say a week off because, as I know, most of us were still in our day jobs for most of the week, but at least we got a bit of a break from Central for the week. I had a couple of things just to start off tonight, and then just kind of touching base with everyone to see if anybody has questions from last week's work. And then we'll get on to tonight's topic, which is all about assessment and some things to keep in mind as you're designing assessments that are going to be delivered or taken online, and some of the particular challenges with that. So first things first, for those of you that are not in tomorrow night's class, not in the 520 class, Dr. Abed wanted me to pass along that he is doing advising for the summer and for next fall in terms of getting signed up for courses and so on. Since we are not meeting on campus at the moment, if you need to meet with him, the best thing to do would be to touch base with him and see if there's a time where you can meet him on campus, or maybe just meet with him virtually. But he did want to make sure that everybody had a chance to touch base with him about getting signed up for coursework for down the road. So if you've not done so, if you're in 520, if you remember from last class, I said that, or I told you guys that Dr. Bed's going to be meeting with each of you one-on-one towards the end of tomorrow night's class, starting around 7 o'clock. So those of you that are there will have a chance to meet with him then. But for those handful of you that are not in the 520 class, just make sure to touch base with Dr. Abed and find a time to meet with him and get signed up. So that is thing number one. Thing number two, this was something I was unaware of, but I thought I would pass it along because it does relate to Moodle and to the work we've been doing. I just sort of on a whim went out and sort of took a look at Moodle as if I wanted to use Moodle on my own. The way that Moodle is delivered through Central is that it is basically a software package that's loaded onto Central servers, and they have people at the university that administer it and do all of that. When I did a little searching, I discovered that Moodle actually does offer a cloud version of Moodle, where there is no software that goes onto your computer. It's all hosted through their servers. And one of the interesting things is that if you want to use it, it is absolutely free as long as you don't have more than 50 users accessing your classes. And they say that it is free, will stay free, will always be free at that level. They do offer then subscription plans that give you more users, that give you a little bit more functionality. But even at the free level, as I was poking around, pretty much everything that we've been doing was available. So I know a lot of schools are now Google Classroom schools, or like my school is Microsoft platform. But if you are either looking for something to use on your own, or if you're in a school setting where they don't maybe have some sort of a learning management system in place that they use, it might be worth checking out. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward because they do all the hosting for you. And like I said, if it's under 50 users, it's free. So I actually started playing around with couple of my smaller elective classes and taking a look at moving some stuff to Moodle there. So since you guys have gone through all this work to create this material, if any of you were interested in moving this material to your own Moodle, that is an option. So I just thought I would let everyone be aware of that. That was something I was unaware of. But it works pretty much the same as what we've been doing. There's a couple of things like the toggling of sections that's not an option in the cloud version. and a couple of other things. But it was pretty darn close to what we've been doing in this class through Central's Moodle. If you're doing a transfer, to be honest, I don't know that it would be something like just downloading this Moodle and then uploading it there. Um, because the Moodles we're working on here are hosted on central servers. I don't know that there's an easy way. I could look into that to see if there's a way to create an offline archive of a Moodle. Um, so it may mean if you want to do it, you might have to kind of do a manual transfer, but all the materials you've created, videos and things like that, you can pretty easily copy and paste or just upload to a new site on Moodle if you're interested. But yeah, I'll take a look and see. I don't, like I said, I don't know if there's an easy way to just download and then upload. It may be a little bit more time consuming than that, but like I said, at least the materials you've created and sort of the structure you've created, you could pretty easily recreate in that form if you are interested. So yeah, I just wanted to share that since that was a new discovery for me, and something that might be of interest to some of you, maybe even particularly some of you that are not in school settings. That's a way, if you're in a situation where you'd like to deliver some instruction, but you're not connected to a school, then that would give you a way to pretty quickly set up a manual service for you to use, or an online service for you to use. All right. So next, just to kind of overview the next several weeks, actually kind of majority of the rest of the course as we look forward. Next week, there will not be a synchronous class meeting. Next week is the week that I'm at the NEASC visit down in Ledyard, so I will not be around. And for the most part, we'll go over homework at the end of class, but for the most part, I'm not going to really post anything new next week for you to do during class. At this point, most of our energies are going to be focused towards getting the Moodles finished up and ready for beta testing and so on. So I may have a couple of things that I post over the course of this week or next week for the next time we meet. But for the most part, next week's class is just kind of a work session for you guys to work on your Moodles. So that's next week. So no class next week. The following week is the week that we are on campus. And that week is mainly going to be about what I'm calling beta testing of your Moodles. And the point of that is going to be to do a little sort of round robin, have people take a look at your Moodles, get some immediate feedback from them. I figured we could do that online, but I figured it would be nice to get some face-to-face feedback in regards to the Moodle. So other people will be taking a look at your Moodle, giving you some feedback. You'll be looking at other people's Moodles, kind of giving them a test run, and just seeing if there's anything that there might be in the way of last-minute suggestions or final cleanups or so on that can be done for the Moodles, because then the Moodles are technically due the following week, the week after the week that we meet on campus. So that's what I'm trying to get you prepared for. You would not need to do it ahead of time. The idea is going to be that the Moodle, what we'll do is we'll set up the workstations in the lab with the Moodle kind of already pulled up, and just allow people to kind of sit down at the stations and try them out. So it'll be more, the Moodle will stay in place and the people will rotate around the room, as opposed to having people call up other people's Moodles on their machines. So I don't think that you need to join it. I know some people have already been doing that just to get some feedback from other people, and that's great. But you don't need to prepare ahead of time by joining other people's Moodles ahead of the next class. So next week, no class. Following week is beta testing of Moodles on campus. The following week, I'm gonna have to keep you guys updated. I have one other potential schedule glitch in my schedule that may impact the following week. And it might be a case like we did a while ago where we have class, but I have to start class a little bit later than normal. So I will keep everyone posted about that as we get closer. Again, I'm trying to get some more details on a thing that's happening after school at my school on that day. Um, but that will be the week that Moodles are due. And then after that, the final 4 or 5 weeks are really about focusing on the Zoom presentations. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight. And certainly by the time we meet on campus, you'll have a lot more information in hand about those presentations. And those you will be basically leading an online class using Zoom where you'll be presenting on a topic related to a Web 2.0 app or something along those lines. So that kind of walks us through what's happening now that we're actually, technically speaking, halfway through tonight's class is halfway through the course, because this is our 8th week, and then we've got 7 more weeks after this. So not that it's all downhill from here, but I'd say certainly the bulk of the instructional piece and everything will have been taken care of by tonight, and then a lot of our focus for the remainder of the course is going to be on building the projects and presenting the projects and so on. All right, so that is kind of where we've been and a little updates on some news and where we are headed. With all of that said, does anybody have any questions, concerns that they would like to bring up now? Anything related to the work from the last couple of weeks? I know one of the things I'd asked you to do was to sign up for Zoom and to kind of do a little test drive of Zoom. So I don't know if anybody has any questions coming out of that or feedback on that or related to Moodles or anything else. I'll open the floor to anyone who has questions or comments. All right. Well, if you do have questions, as I try to always say, yes, yeah, Melissa had actually contacted me a little earlier today and said that there was likely that she wasn't going to make it. So, but thank you for the update, Sandy. Yeah, this gets to be a busy time of year. I know we're heading into a lot of different things going on. So. All right, well, let's turn our attention then to the main topic for tonight, which is assessment. Obviously, has been the case with most of what we've done in this course, tonight is not meant to be an exhaustive examination of building assessments and everything that assessment entails. I would hope, particularly for those of you that are in teaching situations, that you've had a background or have a background in terms of assessment and so on. But tonight, what we're going to try to focus on is sort of the particular challenges or concerns that maybe need to be addressed related to doing assessment online, which is its own kind of special subset of assessing in general. So generally speaking, what we know about assessment applies whether it's online or offline, but there are some things to keep in mind when you're in the online environment. So that's going to be our main focus tonight. I've got an article that I'm going to have us take a look at and get some feedback on. The article is actually from Moodle's website. So it's actually Moodle helping to address some of the issues about online assessment. So I figured that would be an interesting thing to look at. So we're going to look at that. Then I've got a little small group activity where I've got some sample questions, and they are all questions that just by doing some searching online, they are all questions that have actually appeared in online assessments. And in the small groups, I'm going to have you guys take a look at those questions and applying what you read in the article, try to maybe redesign or make some suggestions for how the questions could have maybe been done a little more effectively for an online assessment. So we'll take a look at that. I want to take a little bit of a look at the Moodle quiz activity, which is built into Moodle and which probably many of you are going to use in your own Moodles. And I'll talk briefly about a couple of other options that people have been using for assessment. And then we'll finish up by talking about the work for the next couple of weeks and starting to head towards finishing up the Moodles and getting started on the Zoom presentations as well. So to get us started, the first thing is I do have an article, like I said, that I pulled from Moodle, from their own help things, and it's something called Effective Quiz Practices. So the first thing, I guess, is I'd like to give you guys a few minutes to take a look over this article. It's kind of in two halves. The first half is more just general quiz strategies, which are more just about no matter where the quiz is happening, these are some good things to do. But then it gets in particular into the whole issue of cheating. And in a nutshell, that is one of the biggest challenges. Not that it's not a challenge in in-person testing, but online it becomes one of the biggest challenges. And so they spend the second half of the article really discussing some strategies and some things to think about related to that and how to make assessments online so that they are a little less cheatable and a little bit more effective in terms of assessing learning. So let's just take, I don't know, it shouldn't take long, say 10, 15 minutes or so, just to give a chance to read through the article. In particular, pay attention to when it does get to that second half section about addressing cheating. And let's say that I'll give 15 minutes. So let's say at 5:35, we will reconvene and talk about what you found and find some takeaways. And then we will, I'll get you started on the small group activity. All right. So the article is on the Moodle and in week 8. So I'll meet you guys back here at 5:30 and we will discuss what you've read. All right. I'll see you in 15.